Hey guys! Tonight we slip into the life of a medieval hunter, where the world smells of damp earth and pine, and every rustle in the underbrush might be your next meal, or something that thinks you're its meal. Picture yourself in a creaky wooden hut, the kind that groans with every gust of wind, as the first light of dawn sneaks through the cracks. You're not some noble with a fancy castle. You're a regular guy. Maybe with a scruffy beard and calloused hands, trying to survive another day in the 13th century. Spoiler alert. You probably won't survive this if you forget your bow or trip over a root while chasing a deer. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're drifting off from tonight. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake to the faint glow of dawn, your breath visible in the chilly air of your hut. The straw mattress beneath you is lumpy, stuffed with whatever the fields offered last harvest, and it smells faintly of mildew. Your blanket, a patched mix of wool and hides, barely keeps the cold at bay. Outside, a rooster crows, though it's more of a half-hearted squawk. Medieval roosters weren't exactly morning people either. You stretch, joints creaking like the wooden beams overhead, and glance at the small shrine in the corner, a carved wooden figure of Saint Hubert, patron of hunters. You mutter a quick prayer, not because you're super pious, but because you're about to wander into a forest where boars don't care about your good intentions. The hut's single room is cluttered but practical. A low fire smolders in the hearth, casting flickering shadows on the wattle and daub walls. You pull on your tunic, a rough linen thing dyed a muddy green to blend with the forest. Your boots, cobbled from leather scraps, are stiff but sturdy, patched from last season's mishaps. Hanging by the door is your hunting gear, a short bow, a quiver of arrows, and a knife with a bone handle, its blade nicked but sharp. You're no knight with a squire to polish your armor. This is your life. And every tool is a hard-won treasure. Medieval hunting wasn't just a sport, it was survival. Historical records, like the Doomsday Book, show that commoners often hunted to supplement meager diets, despite strict laws reserving prime game for nobles. You're not poaching in the king's forest, you hope. But you're skirting the edges of legality, sticking to the commons where peasants could hunt small game. A quirky tidbit: some hunters carried charms, like rabbit feet or dried herbs, believing they'd ward off bad luck or angry forest spirits. You've got a small pouch of thyme tied to your belt. Your neighbor swears it keeps wolves away, though you're pretty sure wolves don't read herbology manuals. You grab a hunk of rye bread from last night's baking, hard as a rock but edible if you gnaw long enough. No coffee. Sadly, medieval Europe hasn't discovered it yet. So you're stuck with water from a clay jug that tastes faintly of moss. You sling your quiver over your shoulder, check your bowstring for fraying, and step outside. The village is quiet, just a few curls of smoke rising from chimneys. A dog barks lazily, and somewhere a cow lows, unimpressed by your grand adventure. Historians still argue whether peasant hunters were more skilled than noble ones, given how often you had to outsmart both game and the sheriff's men. The forest looms ahead, a dark green wall of mystery and promise. You adjust your gear, take a deep breath, and feel the weight of the day settling on you. It's not just about food, it's about proving you can provide. That you can face the wild and come back whole. You smirk, wondering if that time pouch will actually do anything, and step toward the trees. The dawn light painting your path in gold. You stand at the edge of your village, the forest's shadows swallowing the last of the dawn's glow. And your day as a medieval hunter is about to get real. Your bow is slung across your back, the quiver's leather strap digging into your shoulder, and that dubious time pouch sways at your belt. You're not just stepping into the woods. You're stepping into a world where every snap of a twig could mean dinner or disaster. Your morning preparations are a mix of practical tasks and rituals. Because in the 13th century, you don't just grab a protein bar and go. You've got to ready your gear, your mind, and maybe your soul, just in case the forest spirits are in a bad mood. First, you check your bow, a masterpiece you traded a month's worth of firewood for. It's not fancy, nobles get the polished longbows, but it's reliable. It's wood smoothed by years of your grip. You run your fingers along the bowstring, waxed with beeswax you bartered from old Agnes, the village beekeeper. A loose string means a missed shot. And you're not about to let a deer laugh at your bad aim. Your arrows, fletched with goose feathers, are straight but not perfect. Medieval fletching was more art than science. And you've got one arrow with a feather that's slightly askew, like it's planning its own rebellion. You kneel by the small fire outside your hut, coaxing it to life with a handful of dried twigs. The smoke stings your eyes. But you need it for the next step, a ritual your father swore by. You sprinkle a pinch of ash from the fire onto your boots. A quirky tradition among local hunters to ground you to the earth. No one's sure if it works. But last year, when you forgot, you tripped into a briar patch and spent a week picking thorns out of your legs. Better safe than sorry, right? Historical accounts, like those in medieval hunting manuals, note that commoners often mixed practical skills with superstitions, trusting charms as much as their tools. Your knife gets a quick sharpen on a whetstone. Its gritty scrape a familiar morning hymn. You test the edge with your thumb, sharp enough to slice hide. Not so sharp you'll lose a finger. You also pack a small sack, a flint for emergencies, a strip of dried venison that's tough as leather, and a waterskin that leaks just enough to keep you humble. You glance at St. Hubert's figure back in the hut, muttering another quick prayer. Historians still argue whether these prayers were heartfelt or just habit, a way to hedge bets against a forest full of surprises. Before you go, you smear a bit of mud on your face, not for war paint vibes, but to dull your skin's shine and mask your scent. You heard once that deer can smell fear, which sounds like something your cousin made up to mess with you. But you're not taking chances. A light breeze carries the scent of pine and damp leaves, and you adjust your tunic, tucking the hem into your belt so it doesn't snag on branches. You're not exactly strutting like a knight in shining armor. Your outfit's more, survive the day, than, slay the dragon. A quick glance at the village shows it's waking up. A woman hauls water from the well, her bucket clunking rhythmically. A kid chases a goose. Which is winning the race? You chuckle. City folks watching this on YouTube would probably think it's quaint. But for you, it's just another Tuesday. Or Wednesday. Medieval calendars are fuzzy, and you're not exactly keeping a planner. You take a final swig of water. Sling your sack over your shoulder and turn toward the forest. The time pouch bounces against your hip, and you wonder if it's secretly mocking you. No time to overthink. You've got a long day ahead, and the forest waits for no one. You step into the forest, leaving the village's chatter behind, and the world shifts. The air grows cooler, heavy with the scent of moss and decaying leaves, and the trees close in like silent sentinels. Your boots sink slightly into the damp earth, each step a muffled crunch that feels louder than it should. The forest is alive. Birds trill overhead. A distant branch snaps, and you're instantly on edge, hand grazing the knife at your belt. You're a medieval hunter, not some weekend camper with a GPS app. So every sound is a clue, every shadow a question. This is your world now, and it's equal parts beautiful and unforgiving. The trees are a mix of oak and beech, their canopies weaving a green ceiling that filters the morning light into dappled patches. You move slowly, eyes scanning for signs of game. The forest floor is a chaotic map of leaves, roots, and the occasional mushroom cluster that looks tempting but probably isn't. You learned that lesson the hard way last spring. You tried a harmless mushroom and spent a day seeing colors that don't exist. Medieval peasants didn't have WebMD. So you stick to what you know, meat, not mystery fungi. You spot a faint trail, a barely there path where grass lies flattened. Could be deer, could be boar, could be nothing but your own wishful thinking. Hunting records from the period, like those in Gaston Phoebus' Book of the Hunt, describe how peasants relied on sharp observation to track game, unlike nobles who had dogs and servants to do the heavy lifting. You're your own tracker, squinting at broken twigs and scuffed dirt. A quirky tidbit: some hunters believed animal tracks glowed faintly under moonlight. A superstition you don't buy but can't quite shake when you're alone out here. You crouch, brushing leaves aside to reveal a hoofprint. Small and delicate, probably a young deer. Your heart picks up, not from excitement but focus. You adjust your bow, still slung across your back, and move forward, keeping low. The forest is a maze, and you've got no map. Just memory and instinct. A squirrel darts up a tree, chattering like it's roasting your hunting skills. You smirk. Nature's got a sense of humor, and it's usually at your expense. The air shifts, carrying a faint musky scent. You freeze, sniffing like a dog, though you'd never admit it. It's not prey, not yet, but something's nearby. You glance at that time pouch on your belt, half expecting it to wink at you. Did it keep wolves away? Or is it just decorative nonsense? Historians still argue whether medieval hunters trusted charms more than skill, with some claiming superstitions were just a way to cope with the forest's unpredictability. You're not sure where you stand, but you're not tossing the time yet. A low branch snags your tunic, and you curse under your breath, quietly. Because the forest has ears. You free yourself, noticing a spiderweb stretched across the path, its owner glaring at you like you owe it rent. You sidestep, not because you're scared, but because you don't need bad luck today. The forest is teaching you patience, and you're a reluctant student. Every step is deliberate, your senses tuned to the hum of life around you, wind in the leaves. A distant woodpecker's rhythmic tap, the faint gurgle of a stream you'll hit soon. You're deep in the forest now. The village a distant memory. The light is softer, the shadows longer, and you feel both small and alive. You're not just hunting, you're part of this wild, breathing place, where one wrong move could make you the hunted. You adjust your grip on the knife. Take a slow breath, and keep moving, the deer's trail pulling you deeper into the green unknown. A quick glance at the village shows it's waking up. A woman hauls water from the well, her bucket clunking rhythmically. A kid chases a goose. Which is winning the race? You chuckle. City folks watching this on YouTube would probably think it's quaint. But for you, it's just another Tuesday. Or Wednesday. Medieval calendars are fuzzy, and you're not exactly keeping a planner. You take a final swig of water, sling your sack over your shoulder, and turn toward the forest. The time pouch bounces against your hip, and you wonder if it's secretly mocking you. No time to overthink. You've got a long day ahead, and the forest waits for no one. You're deep in the forest now, the deer's trail pulling you like a thread through the green tangle. Your boots tread lightly on the mossy ground, where every step stirs up the earthy scent of damp soil and pine. The hoofprint you found earlier is your guide, but it's faint, like the forest is playing hide and seek. You're a medieval hunter, not a noble with a pack of hounds. So it's just you, your wits, and a bow that's seen better days. Your eyes dart from scuffed dirt to snapped twigs, piecing together the deer's path like a puzzle only half finished. The trail leads through a thicket, branches clawing at your tunic as you push through. A thorn nicks your hand, and you wince, muttering about how the forest always demands a toll. You pause to check the mark, barely a scratch, but you smear it with a bit of mud. A trick your uncle swore kept wounds from festering. Medieval hunters, as records like the laws of Howell Dda show, relied on keen observation to track game, often spending hours deciphering signs nobles ignored. You spot a fresh clue, a tuft of fur caught on a bramble. Soft and tawny, it's definitely deer, and you feel a flicker of hope, though you know better than to get cocky. A quirky habit among hunters was whispering to the forest, believing it could hear your respect and grant safe passage. You don't buy it entirely, but you murmur a low, "Thanks for the trail, just in case." The trees don't answer, but a breeze rustles their leaves, and you take it as a nod. You adjust your quiver, the arrows clinking softly, and crouch to examine a new print. It's deeper, fresher, your deer is close, maybe grazing in a clearing ahead. Your stomach growls, reminding you of that stale rye bread you left behind. If this deer gets away, it's you versus the world's toughest loaf tonight. You move slower now, each step deliberate, avoiding dry leaves that'd crunch like a medieval alarm system. A bird flits overhead, its wings a soft whir. And you freeze, worried it's spooked your prey. Nothing moves. You exhale, fogging the chilly air, and keep going. The forest is a symphony of sounds, creaking branches, distant animal calls, but you're tuned to one note, the faint rustle of a deer. Historians still argue whether peasant hunters were better trackers than nobles. Since you had to rely on skill over resources, you're betting on yourself, but the forest doesn't care about your ego. A twig snaps to your left, and your heart leaps. You pivot, hand on your knife, but it's just a rabbit bolting through the underbrush. You chuckle, shaking your head. Nature's jump scare game is strong today. Your eyes catch a faint movement ahead, a flicker of brown through the trees. The deer? You crouch lower, your breath shallow, and ease forward. The trail curves toward a stream, its gurgle masking your steps. You spot fresh droppings, small and glistening, and your pulse quickens. This is it. The hunt's about to get serious. You pause, scanning the clearing ahead. The forest feels alive, watching you as much as you're watching it. That time pouch at your belt sways as you move, and you wonder if it's actually doing anything or just along for the ride. A distant howl, probably a wolf, makes you grip your bow tighter. You're not scared, exactly, but you're not dumb either. The deers close, and so is the stakes. You take a deep breath, the air sharp with pine, and step toward the clearing, ready to see if today's your lucky day. You edge toward the clearing, the forest's pulse syncing with your own as you grip your bow. Its familiar weight grounding you. The air is sharp with the scent of wet bark and the faint musk of nearby game. You're a medieval hunter, and right now, your world narrows to the deer you've been tracking. Its faint rustle just beyond the trees. Your bow is your lifeline, a tool as vital as your own hands. And you're about to put it to work. The clearing ahead shimmers with dappled light, and you move like a shadow, every step measured to avoid betraying your presence. You unshoulder your bow, its U-curve gleaming faintly in the filtered sun. Medieval bow making was no joke. Craftsmen spent years shaping yew or ash into weapons that could pierce hide at 50 paces. Your bow's not a noble's longbow, built for war, but a shorter, nimbler version suited for tight forest paths. Its string, waxed and taut, hums faintly when you test it, a sound that feels like a promise. You nock an arrow, its goose feather fletching brushing your fingers. The arrowhead, forged by the village smith, is broad and barbed, designed to bring down game fast. Not cleanly. You're no vegetarian, but you wince at the thought. Hunting's a necessity, not a sport. A quirky tidbit. Some hunters believed a bowstring plucked at dawn could summon good luck. Like strumming a lute for forest spirits. You tried it once, felt silly, and got nothing but a sore finger. Still, you check the string again. Because a snapped cord means a hungry night. You crouch behind a gnarled oak, peering into the clearing. There's the deer, a young buck. Antlers just budding, grazing on clover. Your breath catches, and you force it to slow. One wrong move, and he's gone faster than your cousin running from a tax collector. You adjust your stance, knees bent, body low. The bow feels like an extension of you. Its wood warm from your grip. You draw the string, muscles straining, and aim for the buck's flank, where the heart and lungs hide. Medieval hunting manuals, like those of Gaston Phoebus, praised the bow's precision, but you know it's only as good as your nerve. Historians still argue whether peasant hunters favored bows or snares, with some saying bows gave you a fighting chance against bigger game. You're banking on that, because snares don't help when you're staring down a live target. A breeze stirs, and you freeze, praying it doesn't carry your scent. The buck lifts its head, ears twitching, and you hold your breath, arms steady despite the burn. You're not just aiming, you're calculating wind, distance, and the deer's next step. A squirrel chatters nearby, and you almost jump, muttering about how nature's got a vendetta against your focus. The buck doesn't bolt, though, and you realign your shot. Your time pouch dangles, useless but oddly comforting, like a friend who's all talk. You release the string, and the arrow hisses through the air. Time slows. your heart thumping as the shaft flies. Did you aim true? The buck startles, head snapping up, and you're already reaching for another arrow. Just in case. The forest holds its breath with you. The clearing, a stage where you're both actor and audience. A distant bird calls, oblivious to your drama, and you smirk. Nature's got no respect for your big moment. You step forward, eyes locked on the buck, ready to see if your shot landed or if you're chasing shadows again. You stand frozen, the bowstring's faint twang still echoing in your ears as the deer bounds a step. Then pauses, unaware of the arrow's flight. The clearing feels like a held breath, sunlight flickering through the leaves, painting the ground in shifting gold. You're a medieval hunter, heart hammering, waiting to see if your shot hit true. But for now, the hunt pauses. You need a break. And so does your rumbling stomach. You ease back behind the oak, letting the forest's rhythm settle your nerves, and decide it's time for a midday rest. The deer's still out there, but you're not a machine. And even medieval hunters knew when to take 5. You find a mossy spot beneath the oak, its roots forming a natural seat, and sling your bow beside you. The forest hums, crickets chirp, a stream gurgles nearby, and a woodpecker's insistent tap feels like it's mocking your impatience. You dig into your sack, pulling out that strip of dried venison, tough as old boots but better than nothing. Chewing it is a workout, each bite a reminder of why you're out here chasing fresh meat. You wash it down with a swig from your waterskin, the water cool but earthy, like the forest itself decided to flavor it. Medieval peasants often ate sparingly during hunts, relying on preserved foods like dried meat or hard bread. As noted in records like the pipe rolls, which tracked village provisions, you're no different, though you've got a secret weapon, a small apple, slightly bruised, tucked in your sack. It's a rare treat, probably nicked from a neighbor's tree. And you bite into it with a grin. The juice is sweet, a burst of luxury in your otherwise gritty day. A quirky tidbit. Some hunters carried apples not just for food but to toss at small game, hoping to stun a rabbit for an easy catch. You're not that desperate, yet. You lean back, the oak's bark rough against your tunic, and scan the clearing. The deer's gone, vanished into the trees, but you're not worried. Tracks don't lie, and you'll pick up the trail soon. For now, you let the forest's calm wash over you. A butterfly flutters past, its wings a flash of blue, and you chuckle. Imagine explaining to your village pals that you got distracted by a bug. They'd never let you live it down. The air's warm now, midday sun piercing the canopy, and you loosen your belt, letting your time pouch dangle like a lazy sidekick. Historians still argue whether medieval hunters took these pauses to rest or to strategize, with some claiming you lot were just too hungry to keep going without a snack. You're leaning toward both, your body's tired, but your mind's already mapping the deer's next move. You spot a faint hoofprint near the stream, a clue you'll follow after your break. For now, you savor the quiet. The forest sounds wrapping you like a blanket. A distant wolf howl makes you tense. But it's far off, probably just saying hi to the moon. You pat your knife, just in case, and take another bite of apple, juice dribbling down your chin. The clearing feels like a sanctuary. But you know it's temporary. The hunt's still on, and that deer's not waiting for you to finish your picnic. You stretch, joints popping like a campfire, and sling your sack back on. The forest's watching, always watching, and you're ready to dive back in. That time pouch swings as you stand, and you give it a mock glare. Better start earning its keep. With a final glance at the clearing, you head toward the stream, the deer's trail calling you back to the chase. You're back on the move, the forest's midday hum wrapping around you as you follow the deer's trail toward the stream. The air is thicker now, warm with the sun's climb, and sweat beads on your brow, mixing with the mud you smeared earlier for stealth. Your bow is ready, quiver light but reassuring against your shoulder. That deer, your young buck with budding antlers, is close. And your pulse quickens, not from fear but from the thrill of the chase. You're a medieval hunter, and the hunt's heating up, the forest testing your skill with every step. The stream's gurgle grows louder, and you spot it through the trees, a silver ribbon cutting through the green. The deer's tracks lead straight to it, hoofprints pressed deep into the muddy bank. You crouch, scanning for movement. There, across the water, a flash of brown, the buck, head down, drinking. Your breath catches, and you ease behind a willow, its drooping branches hiding you. The buck's oblivious, ears twitching, but one wrong move and he'll bolt faster than you can say, "Empty stew pot." You knock an arrow, slow and silent, your fingers steady despite the buzz in your veins. Medieval hunting, as described in texts like The Master of Game, demanded precision, especially for peasants who couldn't afford to miss. A missed shot meant no meat. And you're not here to feed the crows. You aim for the buck's shoulder, where a clean hit will drop him fast. A quirky tidbit. Some hunters swore by spitting into the wind before a shot, claiming it distracted the prey spirit. You're not spitting today. Your mouth's too dry from that venison strip. But you give your time pouch a quick pat. Half joking, half hoping it's got some magic after all. You draw the bowstring, muscles taut, the wood creaking softly. The buck lifts his head, water dripping from his muzzle. And you freeze, arrow poised. He doesn't see you, but his ears flick, catching some distant sound, a squirrel. Probably, ruining your moment again. You smirk, imagining telling your village pals about the squirrel that's got it out for you. The forest is alive, every rustle a potential betrayal. But you're locked in, the world narrowing to you. The buck, and the arrow. Historians still argue whether peasant hunters relied more on instinct or training, with some saying your kind honed a sixth sense for tracking. Born from necessity, the wind shifts, and you curse silently. It's blowing toward the buck now, carrying your scent. He tenses, head snapping up, and you've got seconds. You release, the arrow slicing through the air with a soft hiss. The buck leaps, but it's too late. The arrow strikes, sinking into his flank. He stumbles, crashing into the underbrush, and you're already moving, heart pounding like a war drum. You splash through the shallow stream, boots soaking, and find him a few paces away. Down but still twitching, you kneel, knife drawn, and murmur a quick thanks, not just tradition, but respect for the life you've taken. The buck's eyes dim, and you feel a mix of triumph and weight. You're not some noble hunting for sport, this is survival. And this deer means full bellies for days. A distant crow caws, like it's judging your shot. And you chuckle, let it talk. You're eating tonight. You sling your bow, wipe sweat from your brow, and prepare to field dress the kill. The forest watches, its sounds fading as you focus. the time pouch dangling like a silent cheerleader. The hunt's not over, you've got work to do, but for now, you've won. You kneel beside the fallen buck, its warm flank still under your hand, the forest's hum fading into a tense quiet. Your arrow did its job. But the hunt's not over, nature's got more tricks up its sleeve. And you're a medieval hunter who knows the forest doesn't play fair. The air is heavy, the midday sun filtering through the canopy, casting shadows that dance like they're mocking your victory. Your boots are soaked from the stream, and the time pouch at your belt drips, probably as useless now as it was dry. You take a deep breath, the scent of blood and damp earth sharp, and ready yourself for whatever the forest throws next. The first challenge is immediate. A low rumble of thunder rolls in the distance. You glance up, cursing under your breath. Clouds are gathering, dark and sullen, promising rain. Medieval hunters, as noted in chronicles like those of Jean Froissart, often faced unpredictable weather that could turn a good day sour. Rain means slick trails, spoiled tracks, and a heavier load when you haul the buck home. You need to move fast. But the forest's other dangers loom. A rustle in the underbrush makes you freeze. Hand on your knife. Boar? Wolf? Or just another squirrel with a grudge? You smirk, but your grip stays tight. A quirky tidbit. Some hunters believed rubbing a stone on their blades kept predators at bay, claiming it sharpened their luck. You don't have a magic rock, but you give your knife a quick wipe on your tunic, just in case. The forest is a maze of threats. Wild boars with tusks like daggers, wolves that hunt in silent packs, or even a misstep into a hidden bog. You scan the trees, eyes catching a faint claw mark on a nearby trunk. Bear? You hope not. Historians still argue whether bears were common in 13th century forests or mostly hunted out by nobles. But you're not keen to find out. The thunder grows closer, and a cold gust shakes the leaves. You need to secure the buck before the storm hits. You tie its legs with a leather cord from your sack, working fast, but a sharp crack nearby stops you cold. You crouch, bow ready, scanning the underbrush. Nothing moves, but your heart's pounding like you just sprinted from a tax collector. A light rain starts, pattering on the leaves, and you mutter about how the forest always picks the worst moment to mess with you. The buck's weight is already a burden, and dragging it through mud won't be fun. You stand, muscles aching, and hoist the buck's front legs over your shoulder. The rain picks up, soaking your tunic, and you slip on a wet root, catching yourself just in time. Nature's laughing now, no doubt. You adjust your grip, the buck's fur slick against your neck, and start moving. The trail back is vague, half erased by the rain, and you rely on memory, that twisted oak. The streams bend, a distant howl cuts through the drizzle, and you pause, wondering if that time pouch ever stood a chance against wolves. Probably not, but you're too stubborn to ditch it. The forest feels alive, its challenges piling up: rain, beasts, and your own fatigue. You're not just a hunter, you're a survivor. Dodging nature's curveballs, a flash of lightning cracks, illuminating the trees, and you pick up your pace. The buck's weight grounding you. You've faced worse, you tell yourself, but the forest doesn't care about your bravado. It's you against the wild, and you're determined to make it home. You drag the buck through the forest, rain pelting your face, each step a slog through mud that clings like a jealous lover. The deer's weight digs into your shoulder, its bound legs thumping against your back. But you're a medieval hunter. And this is your prize. The storm's in full swing now. Thunder grumbling like a tavern drunk. And the forest feels alive with menace. Your tunic's soaked, your boots squelch, and that time pouch, soggy and useless, swings like it's mocking your optimism. The kill is yours, though, and that's what keeps you moving. One stubborn step at a time. You pause under a broad oak, its branches offering a flimsy shield from the rain. The buck's antlers catch on a root, and you curse, freeing it with a tug. Medieval hunting records, like those in the Livre de Chasse, describe how peasants often hunted alone, relying on grit to bring down and haul game without a noble's entourage. Your kill's a triumph, but it's not clean. Blood stains your hands, mixing with mud, and you feel a pang of reverence. This deer's life feeds your village, and you don't take that lightly. You murmur a quick thanks, half to the deer, half to whatever saint might be listening. A quirky tidbit. Some hunters believed a fresh kill's blood smeared on their forehead brought strength. A ritual you skip because, frankly, you're not that extra. Instead, you check the arrow wound, clean, deep, a good shot. You adjust the deer's weight, your muscles screaming, and scan the forest. The rain's blurred the trail. But you know this path. Past the gnarled yew. Left at the mossy boulder. A distant rustle makes you tense, probably just wind. But you grip your knife anyway. The forest's full of surprises. And you're not keen on meeting a boar with a bad attitude. The storm's turning the ground to sludge. And you slip, nearly dropping the buck. You catch yourself, laughing grimly. Imagine explaining to your village that you lost dinner because you tripped like a clumsy ox. Historians still argue whether medieval hunters saw their work as sacred or just survival, with some saying rituals like yours were a way to honor the balance of life and death. You're not sure about sacred, but you feel the weight of this moment, the deer's sacrifice, the storm's challenge, your own stubborn will. Lightning flashes, illuminating a clearing ahead, and you push forward, rain stinging your eyes. The buck's heavier now, or maybe you're just tired. But you don't stop. A low branch snags your quiver, and you free it, muttering about the forest's vendetta. That time pouch, now a sodden lump, dangles like a reminder of your neighbor's bad advice. You spot the yew tree, its twisted limbs a familiar marker, and adjust your course. The village is still hours away, but the thought of a fire and a full belly keeps you going. You pause to catch your breath, the deer's weight grounding you as thunder rolls again. The forest is a wild, wet beast, but you've got this kill. And that's enough to make you smirk. You're not just surviving, you're winning. One muddy step at a time. The rain eases slightly, and you take it as a small mercy. Hoisting the buck higher and trudging on, ready to claim your victory. You trudge through the forest. The buck's weight a steady ache across your shoulders. Rain now a light drizzle that clings to your skin like a second tunic. The forest is quieter, the storm's roar fading, but the air still hums with the scent of wet earth and pine. You're a medieval hunter, and this deer is your hard-won prize. But now comes the gritty work, field dressing the kill before the trek home. Your boots sink into the muddy trail, each step a reminder that the forest doesn't care about your triumph. That time pouch, now a soggy mess, dangles like it's laughing at your soaked state. You find a flat clearing. The ground soft but firm enough for the task. Dropping the buck, you roll your shoulders, wincing as your muscles protest. Medieval hunters, as noted in texts like The Art of Hunting, dressed game quickly to preserve meat, especially in damp weather when rot sets in fast. You kneel beside the deer, knife in hand, its bone handle slick but familiar. The blade glints faintly, catching the gray light filtering through the clouds. You work methodically, slicing along the belly with care, too deep. And you'll ruin the innards, too shallow. And you're just tickling the hide. A quirky tidbit. Some hunters whispered to the animal spirit during dressing, believing it eased the creature's passage and kept bad luck at bay. You don't whisper, but you move with respect, aware this deer's life sustains your own. Blood stains your hands, warm and sticky, and you wipe them on a clump of moss, which is about as useful as a sieve in a storm. You chuckle. City folks on YouTube would probably gag at this. But for you, it's just another day. The organs come out cleanly. And you set aside the heart and liver. Prizes for the village stew pot. The forest watches. It sounds muted, a distant owl hoots. Unbothered by your work, you wrap the offal in a scrap of hide. A habit your father taught to keep scavengers off your trail. Historians still argue whether hunters buried entrails as ritual or practicality, with some saying it was both. A way to give back to the earth. You're not sure about rituals, but you don't want wolves sniffing around. So you dig a shallow pit with your knife and bury the rest. The rain stopped, leaving the air cool and heavy. And you take a moment to breathe. The buck's cleaned carcass at your feet. A twig snaps nearby, and you freeze. Knife still in hand. Your eyes scan the trees, nothing but shadows and dripping leaves. Probably just a fox, but you're not taking chances. You tie the buck's legs tighter, readying it for the haul. The forest feels like it's holding its breath, waiting to see if you'll slip up. You smirk, muttering about how nature's got a worse sense of humor than your cousin after too much ale. That time pouch swings as you stand, and you give it a mock glare, still no wolf-repelling powers. Apparently, you hoist the buck again, its weight lighter without the innards but still a burden. The trail home is clearer now, the storm's mess settling, and you spot familiar markers, a crooked pine, a rock shaped like a sleeping hog. The village is closer, but the day's not done. You're tired, muddy, and triumphant, carrying not just meat but proof you can face the wild and win. One step at a time, you move forward, the forest's quiet approval urging you on. You haul the buck through the forest, its cleaned carcass slung over your shoulder. Lighter now but still heavy enough to make your muscles groan. The drizzle has stopped, leaving the air cool and thick with the scent of wet leaves and earth. Your boots squelch on the trail, mud caking your calves, and the forest seems to soften around you, its earlier menace fading into a quiet hum. You're a medieval hunter, and the village is calling. Your prize will feed families, maybe even earn you a rare nod from the grumpy miller. That time pouch, still damp and useless, bumps against your hip, and you roll your eyes, wondering why you haven't tossed it yet. The trail is familiar now, winding past a gnarled pine you've used as a marker since you were a kid. The forest's sounds, chirping crickets, a distant owl, feel like old friends, though you keep your knife handy just in case. Medieval records, like those in manor court rolls, Show hunters often faced long treks to bring game home, sometimes crossing miles of rough terrain. You're no stranger to this grind. But the buck's weight makes every step a negotiation with your own stamina. You shifted higher, grimacing as a stray antler jabs your back, nature's last jab. Probably a quirky tidbit. Some hunters tied a sprig of holly to their kills, believing it warded off evil spirits on the journey home. You don't have holly, but you touch the time pouch, half laughing at yourself for still carrying it. Maybe it's not about wolves. Maybe it's just a reminder of home, where your neighbor's still convinced it's magic. The trail dips into a shallow valley, and you spot the first signs of the village, a faint curl of smoke, the distant low of a cow. Your pace quickens, though your legs protest, and you imagine the fire waiting for you, warm and crackling. Historians still argue whether peasant hunters shared their kills freely or bartered them for status, with some saying it was a mix of generosity and survival. You're leaning toward sharing, mostly because your sister's stew is legendary. And you want a bowl. The forest thins, trees giving way to patches of cleared land. You pass a stump you once used as a target. It's wood chipped from your less than stellar archery days. You chuckle, thinking how your younger self would have bragged about this buck to anyone who'd listen. Now, you just want a dried tunic and a nap. A rustle in the bushes makes you pause. Hand on your knife. A hare darts out, zigzagging like it's late for a meeting. And you relax, shaking your head. The forest's always got one last trick, doesn't it? The village is close now. You can hear a dog barking. Sharp and familiar. The buck's weight feels heavier with every step. But pride keeps you moving. You're not just bringing meat, you're bringing proof you can provide. That you're more than mud and sore muscles. The trail opens to a field. The village's huts just visible. And you feel a spark of relief, tempered by the knowledge that the day's not over yet. You adjust the buck, its fur rough against your neck, and trudge on. The sky's clearing, a few stars peeking through, and you smirk, wondering if the forest's finally decided to give you a break. That time pouch swings, and you give it a mock salute, useless or not. It's made it this far. The village waits, and you're ready to walk in, head high, a hunter who's earned his keep. You step out of the forest's embrace. The bucks wait a familiar ache as the village comes into view. Its thatched roofs glowing faintly under the fading twilight. The air shifts, trading pine and mud for the smoky scent of hearth fires and the faint tang of livestock. Your boots, caked with forest muck, crunch on the gravelly path leading to the village's edge. You're a medieval hunter, and this is your homecoming, not with trumpets or fanfare, but with the quiet pride of a full quiver and a kill that'll feed your people. That soggy time pouch still dangles at your belt, and you give it a wry glance, wondering if it's smug about making it this far. The village is waking to evening. Lanterns flickering outside huts like fireflies. A child spots you first, shouting your name and pointing at the buck, her eyes wide as saucers. You grin, though your shoulders scream for relief. Medieval records, like those in village charters. Show hunters were often local heroes. Their kills vital for communal feasts. Especially in lean times. You're no knight, but this deer makes you feel like one. At least until the miller starts grumbling about his share. You wave to the girl, who's now dragging her brother to gawk, and trudge toward the village square. A quirky tidbit. Some villages believed a hunter's first step across the threshold brought luck. So they'd sprinkle salt at the village edge. You don't see any salt. Probably because old Agnes hoards it for her healing tonics. But you step carefully anyway. Not keen on tripping in front of an audience. The square's alive with faces, your sister. Wiping floury hands on her apron, the blacksmith. Eyeing the buck like it's his next project. You drop the carcass near the communal fire pit. And a murmur of approval ripples through. You're too tired to bask. But it feels good, like a warm ale after a long day. Historians still argue whether hunters were seen as rugged loners or community pillars. With some claiming your kills tied the village together more than any lord's decree. You're just glad to be off the forest's hook for now. Your sister rushes over, already planning tomorrow's stew, and you hand her the heart and liver. Wrapped in hide, she beams, and you smirk, knowing you've earned a double portion. A dog sniffs the buck, and you shoo it off, laughing when it yips like you've insulted its honor. Village life's like that. Everyone's got an opinion. Even the muds. You stretch, joints popping, and wipe mud from your face. Though it's probably a lost cause. The fire pit crackles, and someone's already hauling wood to roast a portion tonight. You spot your neighbor, the time pouch enthusiast, grinning like he personally hunted the deer. You toss him a mock glare, tapping the pouch, and he laughs, claiming it clearly worked. You roll your eyes, next he'll say it summoned the buck. The village hums with chatter, kids darting around, and you feel the day's weight lift, replaced by the warmth of belonging. The stars are out now, sharp against the sky. And you breathe deep, savoring the moment. You're home, but the buck needs tending. Someone's got to skin it properly. You volunteer, mostly because you don't trust the butcher's clumsy hands. The village gathers, and you're not just a hunter now. You're part of this noisy, messy family. The fire's glow beckons. And you're ready to trade the forest's trials for a night of stories and warmth. You stand in the village square, the buck at your feet, its fur catching the fire pit's glow as the crowd hums with excitement. The air is thick with wood smoke, roasting meat, and the chatter of neighbors already spinning tales about your hunt. Your tunic's still damp, mud streaking your arms. But you're a medieval hunter. And this moment, surrounded by your people, your kill the center of attention, feels like victory. That time pouch hangs at your belt, a soggy trophy of your neighbor's optimism. And you shake your head, half amused, half exhausted. The village is alive, and you're at its heart, ready to share the bounty. You kneel by the buck, knife in hand, and start skinning, the blade slicing cleanly through hide. The crowd watches, some offering advice you ignore. Everyone's an expert after the hunt's done. Medieval village life, as seen in records like the Luttrell Psalter, revolved around shared meals, with hunters like you providing the main course for feasts that knit the community together. The hide comes off in strips, a valuable prize for boots or belts, and you hand it to the tanner's apprentice, who scurries off like he's won a prize. Your sister's already stoking the fire, the liver sizzling in a pan, filling the air with a rich, savory scent. A quirky tidbit. Some villages believed the first bite of a hunter's kill brought strength to the eater. So you're not surprised when kids start circling like hopeful vultures. You toss a small piece to the girl who spotted you earlier. And she grins, chewing like it's magic. You laugh, City folks watching this would probably think you're all savages. But this is just home. The fire crackles, sparks drifting skyward, and you carved chunks of meat for roasting. Your neighbor, the time pouch guru, claps your shoulder, claiming your success proves his charm worked. You snort, tempted to toss the pouch into the fire. But you let it slide. Historians still argue whether these feasts were purely practical or held deeper meaning, with some saying they were rituals to honor the land's gifts. You're not big on philosophy, but sharing this deer feels right, like paying back the forest for its grudging generosity. The village gathers closer, mugs of ale passing around, weak stuff, but it warms your bones. You take a sip, the bitter tang cutting through the day's fatigue, and lean back, watching the flames dance. A dog steals a scrap and bolts, earning shouts and laughter, and you shake your head, typical village chaos. The meat's roasting now, fat dripping into the fire with a hiss. Your sister hands you a skewer, the meat charred but juicy, and you bite in, savoring the smoky flavor. The crowd's a mix of faces, old, young, skeptical, grateful, and you feel their eyes on you. Not as a hero but as one of them. The stars overhead are bright, the night air cool, and you stretch your legs. Mud flaking off your boots. The time pouch dangles, and you give it a playful flick, wondering if it's earned a spot in your next hunt. Probably not, but it's part of the story now. The feast continues, voices rising, and you lean against a log, full in content. The village is your world. And tonight, you've made it a little richer. The fire's warmth seeps into you. And for the first time all day, you let yourself relax. The hunt's weightlifting as the celebration carries on. You sit by the village fire, the feast's warmth wrapping around you like a well-worn cloak. The crackle of flames mingling with laughter and the clink of mugs. The buck's meat, roasted to a smoky perfection, has filled bellies, and the village hums with gratitude, though no one's saying it outright, except maybe your sister, who's already planning tomorrow's stew. Your tunic's stiff with dried mud. Your muscles ache from the day's haul. But you're a medieval hunter. And this firelit moment feels like the forest's reward. That time pouch, still clinging to your belt, catches the firelight, and you smirk, wondering if it's smug about surviving the day. The square is alive with stories. Your hunt's already growing into a tale of near-mythic proportions. Thanks to the blacksmith's flair for exaggeration, you lean back on a log, ale in hand, its bitter warmth loosening the knots in your shoulders. Medieval records, like those in manor accounts, show that village feasts were rare breaks from toil, moments where hunters like you could bask in quiet pride. You're not one for speeches, but the nods from neighbors, even the miller, who's usually stingy with praise, say enough. You take another sip, savoring the moment, the fire's glow painting the faces around you in soft gold. A quirky tidbit. Some villagers believed a hunter's shadow cast by firelight could predict the next hunt's success. Long and sharp meant luck. Short and faint meant trouble. You glance at your shadow, stretched across the dirt, and chuckle, if it's true. You're due for a boar next time. A kid nearby mimics your laugh, spilling his broth, and you shake your head, muttering about how village brats are worse than forest squirrels. The fire pops, sending sparks skyward, and you watch them fade into the starry night, feeling the weight of the day settle into something softer. like a memory already forming. Historians still argue whether these gatherings were just about food or a way to reinforce village bonds, with some saying they were as much about storytelling as survival. You're not sure where you stand, but the way your neighbor's spinning your deer chase into a saga makes you think it's both. You stretch, joints creaking like the fire's logs, and pass your empty mug to a passing teen, who scurries off to refill it. The time pouch brushes your leg, and you give it a mock glare, useless in the forest. But it's earned its place as a conversation starter tonight. A lute starts up, its notes wobbly but cheerful, and a few villagers clap along. Offbeat as always. You grin, thinking how city folks on YouTube would probably call this quaint. Missing the messy heart of it. The fire's warmth seeps deeper, and you feel the hunt's adrenaline finally ebb, replaced by a bone-deep contentment. The village is your anchor. These people your tether. And tonight, you've added to their story. You lean forward, elbows on knees, and listen to the chatter. The fire's crackle, the night's quiet pulse, the stars are sharp above. And you wonder, just for a moment, what tomorrow's hunt might bring. You're not ready to sleep yet, the night's too alive for that. But the fire's glow and the village's hum are pulling you toward rest. The buck's gone from burden to blessing, and you're ready to let the day go. Carried by the warmth and the voices around you. You linger by the village fire, its embers glowing soft now, casting a warm haze over the faces still gathered in the square. The feast has wound down, mugs empty, laughter fading into murmurs as the night deepens. Your body's heavy with the day's work, hauling that buck, outsmarting the forest, surviving the storm, but you're a medieval hunter. And this quiet moment by the fire feels like the world's way of saying, well done. The time pouch, that soggy, stubborn charm, dangles at your belt, and you give it a tired smile. Like it's an old friend who showed up but didn't help. The village is settling, and you're ready to let the day slip away. You lean back, the log beneath you creaking, and stare into the fire's dying glow. Medieval life, as glimpsed in texts like the past in letters, often ended days like this, communal, grounded, with the fire as the heart of the village. The buck's bones lie near the pit, picked clean, a testament to your skill and the village's hunger. You feel a quiet pride, not the loud kind, but the sort that settles in your chest like a warm coal. A quirky tidbit. Some believed a hunter's last look at the fire could ward off bad dreams. So you hold the gaze a moment longer, half expecting the flames to wink back. They don't, but you smirk anyway. Nature's got enough sass without the fire joining in. The air's cool now, carrying the scent of charred wood and damp grass. A few villagers linger, their voices low, sharing stories that blend truth and exaggeration. Your sister's already gone, muttering about tomorrow's chores, and you're left with the fire's soft crackle and the distant hoot of an owl. Historians still argue whether these late-night moments were for rest or reflection, with some saying they were when hunters like you processed the day's weight, life taken, survival earned. You're not sure, but the fire's glow pulls your thoughts to the forest. The deer, the rain-slicked trail. It was a good day. Hard but good. You stand, stretching, your shadow long against the dirt. The village is quiet, huts dark, save for a few flickering lanterns. You pat the time pouch, chuckling at its useless loyalty, and head toward your hut. The path is familiar, your boots knowing every rut. Inside, the air's musty, your straw mattress waiting like an old, grumpy friend. You unhook your belt, letting the pouch fall to the table, and collapse onto the bed, the straw crunching beneath you. The fire's warmth lingers in your bones, and you close your eyes, the day's edges softening. Now, as you lie there, the world grows quieter, the village's hum fading into a gentle stillness, the forest's echoes, rustling leaves, distant howls, seem far away, like a story already told. Your breath slows, matching the soft rhythm of the night, each inhale pulling you deeper into rest. The hut's walls creak, a familiar lullaby, and the straw beneath you feels softer now. Cradling your tired frame, you see the deer in your mind, not the kill but its grace, its life woven into yours. The fire's glow lingers behind your eyes, warm and fading, like a promise of tomorrow's light. Let the day go, let the forest's weight drift, and sink into the calm, where dreams wait like shadows on a quiet trail. Sleep now, carried by the night's gentle whisper. End of script. Sweet dreams.